talk about Gino and Jasmine in this last episode of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. So, Natalie flies out to Michigan from Las Vegas. She gets there, and her and Gino go out. And while they're out, Gino is like, hey, I want you to come to this birthday party so you can meet my whole family. And Natalie is excited. She's like, wow, this is awesome, which is cool for her because I didn't even think she'd be willing to meet Gino's family so quick at this point, especially since they're not even official or anything. But she agreed to it. But then Gino sprung on her, well, there's just one thing. Jasmine is going to be there because she's friends with my cousin and his wife. And Natalie was like, oh, I don't know about all that. You know, this is literally what I flew out here for, is to hang out with you and meet your family. But, I mean, I guess I can go ahead and go because how bad can Jasmine really be? We're going to be in a public place. This is an event for your family. But she doesn't clearly know how Jasmine is. And Jasmine does not give two damns. Natalie thinks, well, I can show up and I can put everything that's gone on between Gino and Jasmine behind me and not say anything and just act like an adult. But she doesn't realize that Jasmine is not anything like that. Jasmine cannot control her emotions, so she starts feeling jealous or some type of way. She's just gonna fly off the handle, especially if there's cameras around, because she went ahead and agreed to go to the party and she thinks everything is just gonna be fine. I think Gino, once he knew Jasmine was going to that party, he should have been just like, okay, let's not go. I'll have you, like, meet up with my family on the side. Maybe we'll go out and have a dinner or something. He should have sat there and tried to mix the two women, especially if this is the first time Natalie's meeting his family. He should have made this the first time that Natalie meets Jasmine, too, especially in a public place like that, especially when him and Jasmine aren't even at a good place at this moment. Gino should have realized that I can't even sit down and have a conversation with Jasmine without shit popping off. Then it's probably going to be highly unlikely that Natalie and Jasmine are going to be able to do the same thing. And then Gino went over to Natalie's hotel room, and Natalie was like, I want you to fill up the hot tub with all these bubbles. So they get in there, and or what is it called? Not the hot tub, but the jacuzzi. So they get in the jacuzzi, they're sitting in all the bubbles, they're both sitting there naked, but of course Gino has to wear his hat. And Natalie was like, hey, I think it'd be a good idea if you spent the night. And you know, in the previous times that we saw Gino go to Natalie's hotel room, like when they were in Vegas, he was sitting there talking about like, hey, you know, if something happens, then I'd be totally fine with it. Like, he was hoping that things would progress past a kiss, but it seemed like once things were starting to progress, Natalie took herself out of the situation. But I think that's just because she didn't want to sleep with Gino the very first night. But now it seems like Natalie's comfortable and she's ready to give it to Gino, so she invites him to spend the night. But he politely declines because he says that every time he looks at Natalie, she's reminding him too much of Jasmine. And you can't tell me that you are just now noticing this. Like, come on, dude. You should have been noticing this from the very beginning. What I think is Gino has his ED problems, his erectile dysfunction. With that little blue pill, you usually got to use it within like 30 minutes to an hour. Otherwise, the erection is eventually going to go away. So I think either he didn't take a blue pill that night because he didn't think he was going to get some, or he took a blue pill, and you know, when they film, you know, a 30-minute scene can take 4 or 5 hours of filming, so that probably took some time, and his blue pill was already worn off at that time, and he didn't want to embarrass himself, so that's why he turned it down. Which, if I was Gino, I would have just been honest with Natalie and been like, look, this is an issue I have, but I think he thinks it's going to scare her away. But look, dude, if you have issues like that, then just be a giver. Like, if you can't do anything, go eat her coochie or something like that. Go do something. But the thing is, he thinks, oh, since I can't have anything done to me, then nothing's going to happen at all. And nobody wants to be with a man like that. And then Gino went out to his cousin's birthday with Natalie. She shows up, and oh my God, I feel so damn bad for Natalie. Natalie shows up, and as soon as she's there, Nobody's making her feel welcome. As soon as she walks in and she gets there, nobody's really like introducing her or joining her in on the conversation. She's just like kind of an awkward outcast. And then finally, Gino's cousin walks up and she's like, yeah, so did you know that Gino and Jasmine have been hanging out and talking? And she's like, well, I know he was supposed to go out and like tell her that things are done. And she's like, no. Gino has been going out with Jasmine, and I'm pretty sure that he's still holding on to hope, aren't you, Gino? And he's like, yeah, kinda. And Natalie's completely blindsided because here she thought that Gino was going to go out, cut things off with Jasmine. He thought Jasmine was a thing in the past, but now she's learning that he has that door open with Jasmine, and now Jasmine's about to show up at this party any freaking minute. I was like, damn, Gino's cousin is being messy as hell. Like, she's trying to make Natalie feel uncomfortable, make Natalie upset from the jump when she gets there. But at the same time, I kind of am happy that she pointed that out, because if she didn't, then she probably would have continued to be blindsided by Gino and believe that that door was shut. So it's kind of a good thing that she walked into the fire and learned the hard way. But then, next thing you know, Jasmine walks in the door, and as soon as she walks in the door, she has to make this grand entrance. Like, I swear to God, everything with Jasmine is so how do you say that word? Concocted? Yes, concocted. You know, like, I feel like all her confessionals, everything she says is planned. I feel like she's like, you know, like, she sits up in the morning, drinks her coffee before she films, and she's like, okay, I'm going to say this in my confessional. I'm going to say that, so she can try to make things as over the top. And like, as soon as Jasmine walks in, she's like, there ain't no party without the sunshine. And then she walks up to Natalie, and she's like, oh, is this a stripper party? And she looks right at Natalie. And I bet you $1,000,000 she sat there and was like sitting there earlier at home and was like, okay, what can I say to Natalie? Or what can I say as soon as I walk into this party to be as animated as possible? So she walks in and she starts looking at Natalie saying, is this a stripper party? And then she looks at Gino and said, why are you bringing the whores from Vegas? She's just deflecting, and I can't stand it. Like, honestly, Jasmine, I don't feel bad for Jasmine, like when Rob was calling her a whore, like at the tell-all, when he walked in, called her a whore, and she chucked her shoe at him, because you literally go around and call people whores for the same exact thing, and Natalie's not even doing anything because she's sitting here dating a man who she thought was singled and moved on. If anything, you need to be mad at Gino, not mad at Natalie, or if anything, you need to be mad at yourself because you couldn't sit there and follow the rules of the open marriage, and that's why you're in the situation you're in at the end of the day. But instead of Jasmine being mad at herself and taking accountability for something, she always has to deflect and find someone else to point the finger to, and Natalie just seems like the easiest person to blame in this situation. So she gets in Natalie's face, and as soon as she gets in Natalie's face and calls her a whore, she shoves her. And Natalie tries to get back in her face and shove her back. And right when Natalie tries to shove her back, all these security guards jump in and stop Natalie, which I thought that was just so out of pocket. See, that's why Jasmine keeps doing and thinking she can do whatever the hell she wants to do, because nobody stops her. Everybody allows it to happen. And then once Jasmine does something, everybody protects Jasmine. It's like, if Jasmine's able to push Natalie, Natalie should be able to fairly push Jasmine back. If Jasmine's going to get one lick, then give Natalie one lick. Come on, let's be fair. That's part of the reason why I quit watching, like, Baddies, for example, because the security guards would always protect certain people, and it's not fair at the end of the day. That's why Jasmine acts however the hell she wants to act, because she knows the security guards are going to protect her every single time. And when she got in Natalie's face and pushed her and called her a whore, everybody was just laughing and having a good kiki. They thought it was so hilarious. Matt was laughing. And you know what I thought was the most scandalous? Even Gino was laughing in one of the screenshots I took when Jasmine shoved Natalie. He should have not been laughing. He should have been sitting there getting in between Natalie and Jasmine. He should have never allowed that to happen to begin with.
if he probably had his choice, he probably just would have ran away and hid and just disappeared for the rest of the night. But everyone was just laughing, and I felt so bad for Natalie because nobody was on Natalie's side. Like, I really wish I was there that night so I could at least been the one person and been like, you know what, that is effed up of Jasmine, and been there to defend Natalie, because Jasmine does not know Natalie at all. Like Natalie said, you have no idea who I am. You don't even know my damn name outside of what you heard from Gino, and here you are walking in with who you're calling your roommate, who you've been banging every single night, who you brought into this marriage and pretty much helped ruin your marriage, and you want to sit here and get mad at Natalie when you should be mad at yourself at the end of the day. And then Gino didn't do anything. Like, Gino, if he wasn't going to step in, he should have said something to Jasmine. Finally, he was like, oh, don't tell her that. Dude, you needed to be doing a lot more to protect Natalie in that moment. And it almost felt like you were protecting Jasmine in that moment, not Natalie. And that's messed up. Why bring Natalie down here to be made a fool at this bar in front of everyone? And you're the one person out of everyone that should have had her back, and you didn't in that moment. And if I was Natalie, I would have been done with Gino after that. I would have walked right out that bar and packed my bags. She went outside because the security pretty much forced her outside, while Jasmine's still in there riling everybody up. Freaking Gino's dumbass cousin walks up to her. Good job, girl. You really told her. I'm like, oh my god, somebody needs to put that woman in her place too. Dean and Michelle are the biggest Jasmine simps, and even to this day, they're still defending Jasmine and kind of dragging Gino on social media. So shout out to 90 Day Fiancé Update. They got this comment from Gino's cousin responding to someone dragging them, and they said, thank you for your support. It's people like you that keep this TV show going. They call people like you hate watchers. The human trafficking comment refers to a person who promises someone, so he's pretty much like trying to call Gino a human trafficker in this moment. He said the human trafficker comment refers to a person who promises someone something and then they get them to leave their country to live a life that was portrayed as something wonderful, only to be shown off like a trophy and literally put in a room and told to shut up and listen to me. Do you actually believe that G-Boy spent a single penny of his money on Jasmine? And so that's your first mistake. It's a TV show, not like there are cameras hidden somewhere and are catching behind the scenes footage. So lighten up and try to find some entertainment in this. It's really not that bad. However, the way I see it, it is what you have identified as a reflection of what you're most familiar with. And so after they pretty much forced Natalie outside the bar, she got in Gino's face and said, what the hell was that? Where were you in there? You sat there and pretty much like lied to me, told me you were done with this woman, and now you want to sit here and keep that door open, and now look what happened. This is what happens when you keep that door open and want to sit there and think that there's still hope. There's gonna be jealousy involved. And here is freaking Gino just sitting there like a deer in headlights. He sit there and couldn't give Natalie the support inside or outside of the bar that she needed in that moment. He couldn't be the one person there for her. Even outside, he's like, yeah, that was messed up. Yeah, you didn't deserve that. Like, you deserve to be giving Natalie a lot more in that moment. Natalie deserves so much better. And even she said that. She said, I don't deserve to be putting up with this. Like, I am not one of those girls that like to be messy and sit there and fight and argue over stupid shit. This is all beneath me. And Gino was like, I understand. And she said that she was going to leave and she was done with everything for the night. And I hope that this is the end for her and Gino, because Gino does not need to be dating right now with him still trying to have Jasmine in the mix, because Jasmine's just going to continue to do this to every woman that Gino brings in the picture. If Gino really cared about Natalie like he said he did, then he would have picked Natalie in that moment. That would have been the perfect moment to stop everyone and say, hey, I want to make an announcement. I'm picking Natalie. I'm done with Jasmine, and I'm just looking forward from here on out. And that would have been the time to sit there and make a decision. But nope, he still wants to keep things confusing as hell and complicated, and as long as he does that, things are going to continue to be messy. I'm glad that Natalie did finally come to Michigan, because she can see how Gino really is in his real life versus just vacation Gino, when he wants to just lie and act like he's living his best bachelor life. But I just wish things didn't have to be so freaking messy and hate how she had to find out. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Do you guys think that Natalie should still entertain Gino after this? Let me know, and thank you guys so much for watching.